Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Well, Nepal is at a pivotal moment in its history, with the youth-led protests sweeping the nation and demanding a chance in leadership. Amidst this political turbulence, three distinct figures have emerged as front runners to lead the country's interim government, each representing a unique path for Nepal's future. Starting with Sushila Karki, the first female Chief Justice of Nepal, educated at Banaras Hindu University. Karki has long been a staunch advocate for judicial independence and anti-corruption. Her reputation for integrity and a political stance has made her a preferred choice amongst young activists seeking transparent and accountable governance. Next is Kulman Ghising, the technocrat credited with ending decades of chronic power shortages in Nepal. An engineer trained in India, Ghising rose to prominence as the managing director of the Nepal Electricity Authority, where he transformed a loss-making institution into a model of efficiency and financial stability. Finally, there is Balendra Shah, popularly known as Balan, the independent mayor of Kathmandu, a former rapper and structural engineer educated in Karnataka, India. His tenure as mayor has been marked by reforms in urban management, tackling corruption and implementing visible changes in public infrastructure. Meanwhile, 38 Indians stranded in the country were safely brought back to India through the Raxaul border in Bihar with the assistance of the Indian embassy in Kathmandu. More than 200 Telugu people stranded in Nepal have also been successfully evacuated and escorted to Kathmandu airport, with many already reaching Indian territory safely. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the platform is Ambassador Veena Sikri, former diplomat, Major General Dhruv Katoch, senior defense expert, also with us on the show, and he's the director of India Foundation. Major General Omnath Dwivedi, defense expert, is joining us from Nepal. And last but not the least, Pathakrit Pine, foreign affairs expert, is also with us on the program. All right, Ambassador Sikri, I'll begin with you, ma'am. What does Nepal need at this point in time? Does it need the infusion of youth and vitality, or does it need the experience and the sapience of someone who knows how to handle a broken state?
Well, certainly at this moment, they need somebody with experience and patience. And we should be very, very glad that the president of Nepal, Ramchandra Paudel, and the chief of army staff, General Ashok Raj Sigdel, they have really brought the situation to a point where the violence has more or less ended. The army is out. There is curfew. But the point is that whether it's the inexperience of youth or whether they've been egged on by others, the demands by the youth are all anarchical. They're all set for what they themselves describe as a rajyata, because the demands are that you dissolve parliament, all members should resign. And then the attack is on the democratic institutions of Nepal, whether it's the Singha Darbar, the seat of the government, whether it's the parliament building, whether it is the Supreme Court building or the Anti-Corruption Commission, the political parties' headquarters. So all the existing political institutions and the democratic institutions have come under this huge attack, indicating they should end, so that even if the elections are held, there should be no political parties at all. And in this sense, there is this great parallel you can draw between what has happened here and what has been happening in Bangladesh. But whereas in Bangladesh, the violence was very similar, the release of prisoners from jail was very similar. The attack on the youth, and then the moment the policemen were trying to prevent them and people died in the police attack, then of course this huge hue and cry calling leader Sheikh Hasina fascist and so on, asking for her removal. All that is similar, but the Chief of Army Staff taking a stance day before yesterday, giving an address to the nation with the support of the president, saying that the army is prepared to be firm in bringing the violence to an end, has had a salutary effect. So now the question is of the discussions taking place at the army headquarters. The President Ramchandra Paudel and the army chief are fully involved in those discussions. And as you have quite rightly pointed out, from just one name yesterday, there are more than, or three names at least, if not more. And the demands of the Gen Z and the Hami Nepal, these two NGOs which are agitating outside, saying that the rights are being taken away and so on. So the situation is not yet normal, but I do think that an interim government is likely to be formed. And if that interim government is able to bring the situation under control, elections should be held. But the elections should be constitutional, and the elections have to be free, fair, and inclusive. This is another thing, that you can't have elections where you yourself decide beforehand that certain people will not take part. This is what is happening in Bangladesh. And if you do the same thing here, it will not mean an end to the stability. It will not bring an end to this kind of instability. It will lead to further instability. So actually, the whole statement made by President Ramchandra Podial today has been that he's going to be constitutional. He's going to follow the constitution. And this is a very important and significant point that he has made, because as long as you stay within the constitution as it is presently formulated, after the elections, if the elected parties want to change the constitution, that is, of course, their own decision, and within the bounds of the political facilities given by the constitution itself. But right now, it is important to remain constitutional, because otherwise anarchy will take over. The last 2-3 days have seen these strong anarchic tendencies, and this absolute, out of the blue, all over the country, you have this, extreme violence emerging. It has been really unnerving. And I think our Prime Minister has made the correct stance. India is nowhere in this picture. This is an entirely internal matter for Nepal. And our Prime Minister has expressed his deepest condolences for those who have lost their lives, and has asked for the return of peace, complete peace, and the constitutional process in Nepal.
General Katoch, well, it's worrying, isn't it, what's happening in Nepal? And a lot of people feel that the government had this coming onto itself for a very, very long time. But the fact of the matter is that Nepal is our neighbor, and these things, these ideas can slip across as well. Maybe not in action, but in thought as well. What is India supposed to be doing at this point in time to help out Nepal?
Thank you, Vineet. Vineet, I think, we are facing a very, very delicate situation now, because Nepal is very close to us, not just as a geographical neighbor, but in every single sense, as civilizationally, culturally, on the religious basis, in every single aspect, Nepal is a brother nation. And for this to happen in Nepal, I personally am very disturbed. I don't think it is just a question of this, the Generation G movement, as they call it. They are simply the front. It is their face, as a student's face, which is being put up in front, but someone is controlling the strings behind. There is a puppet master behind. That puppet master, as of now, it has not come out, but we all have our suspicions as to who is doing it. The Hami Nepal, as a NGO has been mentioned, who is controlling this particular organization? Who is funding it? Are their funds coming from the United States? You see, ultimately there is a question of control. It is not possible that suddenly in a demonstration of this nature, you start burning your key institutions, your parliament, the Chief Justice's office, all important buildings, the hotels. How is it that the youth who are fighting for Nepal are hell-bent on destroying their own country? If you have a problem, you don't go and burn on your house, which is exactly what this Gen Z is doing. And I think it is, in my personal view, it is unacceptable the way this violence has gone. Protesting on the streets, yes, but the way the violence has gone, no. Now, for India, of course, it is a concern, but we'll handle it. I think on the foreign policy issues, we have a government in power, and both the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, who are absolutely outstanding in this particular sphere. So this situation will be handled. But I think we have to, the larger context. How are you going to get Nepal back on its feet? At this point of time, with the way the structures are going, people are going to be very, very reluctant to even invest in Nepal. They won't like to go there. When the Nepalese themselves, when the young people are themselves destroying the structures, who would like to go? So it has become something, a very self-defeating exercise. And if they are saying that we don't have jobs, then this violence is going to make things doubly worse for them. And even worse, foreign countries won't accept Nepalese now. So, you have put yourself into a situation by which a bad situation is only going to get worse. Now, India has got a very important role to play. I think the first thing which Ambassador Sikri has said very correctly, we are not part of the problem. We have got nothing to do with the problem, and it is something which has been created within Nepal, sponsored by certain external agencies. That I'm certain. But what can we do now? I think based on what Nepal wants, and it is very important that we are not seen as being interfering in what Nepal is doing. The effort has to come from Nepal, but I am quite certain whatever Nepal needs, India will provide. We have a Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, who will give much more than what they ask for. So any help or assistance which is required, which comes from the people of Nepal, that will be provided, and India will do its full share. In fact, we'll go out of our way to get Nepal back on its feet, ensuring at the same time that the Nepalese people don't view it as being some sort of an interference in their affairs. They are a very proud people, and rightly so. It is a very strong nation, and we should do everything in our capacity and ability to get the country back on the rails. Vineet.
Fair enough. Pathakrit, where do you stand as Nepal continues to burn? There is a churn happening. The polity at this time is pretty unpredictable. The youth will, take a call as to who gets to run Nepal for the next few years. And why I say next few years, Pathakrit, because I think it has become a country which has become prone to this instability, and yet the root cause of this instability has not been addressed.
So, Vineet, we had in India some governments which have been extremely corrupt. There was in Bihar the Jungle Raj, but people formed political parties. They were resilient. They fought elections. They removed that political entity and for a betterment. The same with the democratic process in case of UPA being, ousted from power in 2014. So I think the problem is, making it fashionable that it's a Gen Z which has done it as if it's a great thing that has happened. It took just two days for somebody, as General Katoch mentioned, to pull the strings to make people of Nepal destroy their own institutions. It just took 2 days. And that is how dangerous it has become. I was in one of the shows where I asked some of these Nepali representatives of the Gen Z protest that you want to make a new country, you want to make it better. Where would your new people sit? Because you've already burned down the parliament. So even for bringing basic, restoring the basic of normalcy in Nepal, it would cost hundreds of crores of rupees, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. And somebody is going to pay Nepal to get it done. Now, whoever pays it to Nepal or those who actually got it done. I mean, I came to know that US aid had almost spent $700 million in Nepal. Where has that money gone since 2015? What infrastructure US aid made in Nepal? So whoever had given money for all of this, they would ask for their pound of flesh. And we have a problem. The predicament for India is, I'm telling you, people of Nepal are our civilizational, cultural brothers. But look at the Siliguri corridor. On both sides, we have unelected governments right now, in Bangladesh and in Nepal. So what happens if tomorrow the Americans say that we want to set up a small base in Nepal? And, it's again so fashionable to say that Gen Z has done it. I am sorry, but I do not subscribe to that at all. Because in Bangladesh, what has happened? Today, if you look at the condition of Bangladesh 1 year down the line, their factories are closed. They have put up 21 to 25 young students of universities as if they are the torch bearers with no clue about public policy, foreign policy, administration. Ask anybody in Bangladesh today as to whether they are better off today or what they were before 2024 situation. So I think we wish Nepal good. We wish them, improve. But it is going to be a very, very, turmoil-based journey in the next, say, few months at least. And I'm sorry to say this, but I think there are elements. I tweeted this and it went viral in Nepal as well. I stated that it is extremely important right now for both people of Nepal and India to restrain, because there will be bots who would be used to make anti-India statements as if they are coming from Nepal, and vice versa, so that animosity between these two countries grow. So you had a Pakistan situation, and somebody is working to create anti-India sentiments both in Bangladesh and Nepal. And this is going to be as if like a pincer situation for India, because what you see in Nepal right now has been tried in India for the last 5 years. And when we look back and when we see that during the anti-CA protest or the anti-farm law protest, government of India showed absolute restraint and did not shoot when what happened on the 26th of January 2021, when people went to the Red Fort and took off the Indian flag. Sometimes that time there was a lot of criticism. But imagine, perhaps that day the plan was for those who were orchestrating it, that similar way the law enforcement agencies will shoot people, and then the entire thing what happened in Nepal would be instigated in India. So the maturity shown by government of India to deal with that situation is highly appreciable. And I think somewhere, yes, it is very, very clear that certain elements have been playing the role. Here onwards for us, security in the entire, so imagine your hundreds of kilometers long open border that India has with Nepal. Imagine tomorrow the Americans think about setting up a base as they are talking about doing it in Bangladesh. Look at the strategic vulnerability we face. We have no threat from the people of Nepal per se. But I'm saying that certain elements, because these Gen Z people, if they come into government, their understanding of larger things is very, very limited. So what happens, you would see exodus also happening. The jobs will dry down. Imagine that Hilton Hotel. Imagine the number of people who used to work over there. Where will they go from henceforward? So you would see exodus, you would see lawlessness, and that is where the conversion mafia steps in. That is where radicalization starts. You see a cut-paste thing of what happened in Syria. I'll give you the example of Syria to say what is the most scary situation. In Syria, everything started from the universities. They were told to protest in the name of democracy. They went ahead. Syria is not, was a dictatorial country. They were, the army shot back at the protesters. Suddenly, the protesters from the students' community had guns in hand. Somebody supplied them the guns. And somebody formed the Free Syrian Army for them to fight against the army. And that protest took the shape of a movement. The movement took the shape of a civil unrest. The civil unrest took the shape of an anarchy. The anarchy took the shape of civil war, because a lot of outsiders then came to fight on behalf of Free Syrian Army against the Syrian government. The Americans came in, the Russians came in, pro-Bashar al-Assad, anti-Bashar al-Assad, ISIS came in, Obama dropped during the Arab Spring, weapons of hundreds of millions of dollars went into, Al-Nusra got that, Al-Nusra merged with ISIS, and the country, if the people who protested that time, if they turn back and look at what has happened to Syria, it is a destroyed country. The same is the story with Libya, the same is the story with Iraq, and many other countries of Middle East where Arab Spring was orchestrated, instigated from abroad through social media. So what happened, I'm sorry, but I have seen so many people are trying to say it, oh, that's a great thing, it's fashionable. But it has dangerous ramifications. There is a precedence of what has happened in Ukraine. In 2014, Viktor Yanukovych's government was ousted. It was John McCain and, Victoria Nuland standing in the US embassy taking photographs of Orange Revolution. Look at the outcome of what has happened to Ukraine today from what it started in 2014 by ousting an elected government. And I fear what Asim Munir said, that next time the attacks will come from the east side. So the Pakistanis know it well that if tomorrow there is another attack from Pakistan into India, we will bomb Pakistan. They'll say, okay, we'll do it through Nepal, via Nepal. We'll do it via Bangladesh. And what happens then? So I repeat, our enemy are not the people of Bangladesh or Nepal. But as situations stand over there, those who help them to create this situation might ask for their pound of flesh. The kind of infiltration that you see in Nepal today by Western elements, even the Pakistanis, radical Islamist organizations, missionaries, situation is scary. My only concern right now is what happens to the Siliguri corridor. My concern is, should we not think about fencing the Indo-Nepal border? Because, good fencing creates good friends. So we have great cultural, civilizational relationship, and we have a roti-beti rishta. But to maintain that, sometimes, right now it is important to understand that there are challenges on both the sides.
All right.
And I hope people of Nepal...
Let's rope in General Dwivedi as well onto this conversation. General Dwivedi, what's the situation according to you in Nepal right now? And the army, of course, has made it very, very evident that looting and vandalism under the garb of changing things in Nepal is not going to work. But the fact of the matter is, how is stability going to be brought about in Nepal?
Thank you very much for the questions, and then my greeting to all the panelists. Sir, all the people are hoping the best for the country presently. And then this morning to this evening, 3 to 4 hours, I have been on the ground and I have observed all the situation what is happening there. The people's movements and the condition is totally 100% normal. Nothing is there. The people are moving for their emergency work, and then army is just checking them and then giving them to access where they want to go. And then I also stay somewhere on the group of people, and I talk with the people. They said that, okay, no problem. We have a trust on the movement. We have a trust on the coming government, new government. So all the people are trusting the condition what is going on, and they are hoping the best for the coming government. The important things here is, yes, if something is a problem to the neighbors, and then their side effects and spiritual effects will be always surround the countries and around the neighbors' country. Yes, there is. You have some the Indian side. Yes, you should think on it, and then you have to prepare yourself. It is not a big deal. It is a normal way. But sir. The relation between India and Nepal is not like the relation between India and Bangladesh, India and Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka, and India and Maldives. That's what I think. The India and Nepal relation is totally better than the other countries, and the behavior and the attitude of the Nepalese people is also different than other countries which I mentioned before. Sir, our Nepalese people have comparatively hot blood, as well as we have a very good the sympathy and trust. So the situation on the ground is nothing the problematic. Everything is fair and fine, and then people are hoping, people are debriefing the situation, talking about the outsiders, the encroachment and outsiders' involvement or deep state the interest. I also talk with the guys, and then I also talk with some these Gen Z guys. Till now, I confirmed you that any other outsiders the involvement has not been seen and observed. But I don't know what happened tomorrow and the day after tomorrow when situation will be going differently. There might be some people try to want to iterate, or some state interested group try to iterate. But I don't think it is not so easy to enter inside the Nepal, because Nepalese people are very aware nowadays about such a situation, because we have just the seen lots of outsiders used the involvement before. So if you ask the questions about the present situation is, sorry, it's a very normal. Soft curfew is going on, and then people's emergency movement is carry on, and then all are happy, and then we are just hoping for the best.
Right, so we are hoping for the best as well, and that's exactly what India has always done when it comes to the interest as well as the welfare of our Nepali brothers and sisters. We have run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined in and weighed in on this important matter. We take a short break. Be right back.